Hi, hello everyone. This is the Butter Dish, and we are so pleased to have an interview with our special guest today, Penny. Penny has been instrumental in the Steak and Butter Gang. She has been an incredible moderator for our group. She loves to share the word about carnivore and the transformation that it has had for her. While you're here, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel and get the word out that we want to share about the joy of the carnivore lifestyle. So I just want to welcome you, Penny, and thank you for being here.
Thank you. Yes. Would you like to
Oh,
tell us about your carnivore journey from where did you discover it, when you discovered it, and how it started?
Yeah, it's funny. I was a very resistant person to the low carb movement for a long time. And then I did paleo for a bit a few years ago, lost no weight. So then my brother and my sister-in-law and I met for breakfast one day, and they looked sensational, and they told me their keto story. And I looked at them like they were totally nuts. And then I just said, okay, nothing else has worked for years. I've been a sugar carb junkie and just really never had anything work for anything other than calorie restriction, and I would gain the weight back. So I just said, okay, let's just see if I can try this. So I did start with keto. That was the start of my journey back in September 2019. And then I went to carnivore June of 2020. The 2020 year was probably the blank show for everybody. Are we going to sit and eat out of our fridge since we've got nothing else to do? And I think in a lot of respects, that's where I realized during that March through June period of time that I fell off the ledge a little bit with keto. And I was like, this isn't good. It's just not good, And so I just decided I'm going to take it to the next level. Keto had too many treats for me. I don't know if anybody else can understand what sugar addiction can do. So the keto treats were every day instead of just using it as a once in a while thing. Okay. So I stopped losing weight with keto. I decided to go ahead and transition to carnivore about mid-June of 2020 and never looked back in that respect. I'm insane according to my kids. I'm definitely mom, you need help. But years ago, 30 some years of obesity and issues and health issues all along the way, I was normal. I don't know if that's the truth. I really don't think I was normal. And I think I had something that was, if I'd known about keto carnivore, if I'd known more about the low carb stuff, I could have saved myself 30 some years of anguish. Yeah, it was just, it's been such a great thing to transition to this and be a carnivore. 19 months and I'm not looking back. It's the best thing ever. And I think people will say that the first few months are difficult, and I will not deny the difficulty of transitioning. I can't deny it. I had a lot of healing to do in my body. Losing weight wasn't even though it was definitely a priority, it wasn't my first priority. I decided back when I started that I wasn't going to treat this like, oh boy, I'm getting on the scale and I'm not losing, so I guess I have to give it up. No, that wasn't what I decided to do. I decided I was going to, thanks to Bella, her influence, and just being around other carnivores online, even if it was just an Instagram and online in a group, I felt like I had to make this work. And so 3 to 6 months of the first 3 to 6 months were difficult, but I am so thrilled to say that once the transitioning was over with, I'm here to stay. I believe I can stay on this for life. And there's a lot of people out there, they'll say no possible way, but I believe I can.
But you're in it longer than I am. This is absolutely wonderful and encouraging to hear this. Do you mind sharing about some of the transitions in your beginner carnivore periods? Like, could you tell us a little bit more about that part of it?
It was definitely, the biggest part was the cravings didn't go away overnight. It took a while for the cravings to go away. And people will say, oh, well, if you do a week without meat, with just meat and no carbs, you'll be fine. Let's not even beat around the bush. It's very difficult. And the cravings last a lot longer several months, I think maybe closer to 6 months really for me. And it's because I was such a sugar addict that it just, some of that stuff. And by the way, let's say, the marketing on TV doesn't help. Okay. I mean, the marketing on TV is strictly, totally carb addict, all of us unite. I mean, let's meet at the McDonald's, and it's terrible. I have to say, it's just, that was the hardest part, was the carb cravings. Then we move on to just get acid reflux and gastric upset that starts, pretty much, everybody will like, oh yeah, yes, it's really difficult. The, we'll call it the bathroom troubles that start. It's in there for at least a couple months, 3 months, somewhere in there. And I had irritable bowel syndrome. So, I had a leaky gut. So it's just times 20 pretty much for me, so I think that was difficult. But I think once you get past that, I did have a little bit of some histamine issues. But overall, once I got past those things started to get better. My worries were also, when you're talking about age and stuff, my skin issues were terrible before I started carnivore. Cystic acne,
Wow.
boils on my skin, eczema. I mean, I had terrible skin. And I think, no woman wants to look unsightly to people that are around. And that's why I was like, for years, I would hide from pictures because I didn't want people to see. And I think in a lot of respects, so that wasn't an overnight process. The skin was not overnight. It changes. It takes a long time. I mean, I'm going to say probably about 9 months before I started to see a lot of the acne gone. And I think people will be like, I've seen it in groups when we talk about this. We talk about this a lot, oh, I don't notice any difference. And in my view, if you're gonna treat this like, okay, this is a test and this test is failing, and we're not giving it another chance. But in my situation, I just kept working at it. And I think once I started seeing the improvements, it was a while. And I remember Coach Steven telling me, because I made a comment on the board, and he says, everybody's journey is different. Everybody's healing is different. And that's the truth. The healing is different for everybody. So I've had 36 years of mismanagement on my weight. You name it. I had health issues. I was in and out of the hospital. I had multiple surgeries. I had gastric bypass. I've done everything. And so I've lived through the worst pain in the world. So I knew I could live through this and just have this all turn out. And so, yeah. And having Bella around and having a healthy, happy group of people that were trying to all achieve the same healing, you can't put a price tag on that. That's just the best thing.
I want to tell people, like, you're going to change so much, you're going to grow so much, you're going to heal so much. And this is really important. This message that you have, and, we don't say in 14 days, your life will be changed around. There are some elements and some things that happen within groups that people do see some dramatic changes pretty quickly. In particular, a lot of people really benefit from that feasting period when they come in, that I really didn't know about when I started carnivore. I started carnivore as a restrictor. And so I think the health benefits took a little bit longer. I was counting my macros and I was doing all kinds of things that I don't need to do anymore. But I love your message, Penny, that it took you 30 some years to get here. Why would we think this would change in 6 weeks, 12 weeks?
It's a marathon.
3 months.
It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. And Penny's point is very valid. And it's a message that needs to be said multiple times, because you have so many quick fix programs out there. Like, your life's going to turn around in 90 days. It didn't take you 90 days to get there. So you have to have that mindset that this is going to take a while. And I love the fact that you never gave up. You just kept going. You know, life gets in your way and you keep going. That is amazing. Are there any other non-scale victories that you've seen with carnivore?
Well, I definitely have achieved remission for my arthritis. I mean, that's in remission.
Great.
Yeah, as far as the skin issues, constant. I am totally off of my diabetes type 2 medication. I'm off of my high blood pressure medication. And so it's like there's like lists of things, you know, and I had two joint replacements and an ankle reconstruction and gastric bypass, you name it. I mean, I think in a lot of respects, I've lived the journey that a lot of 55 and 60 and 65 and 70-year-old women are going through, and men that are going through, and feeling like their life is futile, that they have no chance of changing anything. And that's so wrong. But believe me, for years, it was just you think, okay, well, I give up. I'm never going to be able to be, a size 8 again. I'm a size 10 now, but that's okay. I mean, I'm great with that. I made my scale victories as well. And again, I'll just say this for the grouping of women out there that are watching and are really upset about the scale. I think the truth of the matter is it, like you said, we take 30 some years to get here. Okay. This body, I may never be Farrah Fawcett or, Jacqueline Smith or any of that, but I am going to say that, getting on that scale and making it happen, it didn't happen. It was it was May of 2021 is when I hit my goal, for my weight. I started in June of 2020. So that's about 11 months if people are counting correctly. And so many people in our group and other places are like, I can't get there. And I'm like, okay, so you've been here this long in this weight. Can't you last another 10 to 12 months of healing to try to get yourself healed and then hit to that point? That's the big thing. I mean, I think everything, our society is everything has to be done yesterday. And that's not where we're at, where our bodies are not going to be yesterday to today. And we just have to let it. Yeah, this has got to be a message that they have to understand. I mean, I think less people will drop out. I've seen so many people drop out of the group. It's almost like they're ashamed, and they shouldn't be, they shouldn't be ashamed of that. We've, like I said, we've all got different journeys, but if they could just give it some time, just not expect it to be, that's why I sometimes, when people are talking about carnivore challenges for 30 to 60 days, I sometimes will pipe in and I'll say, maybe you can allow more than that. I mean, because it isn't just a 30 to 60 day thing for many people. Maybe some people that are doing it to bulk up and get muscles, and they don't have any real history of carb sugar addiction. Those people may be able to come in and use it specifically for muscle building. But I don't believe in our situation with women that have issues over a period of some 20 to 30 years, that's going to be that's not going to be enough time for them. And they have to understand that.
So powerful. I believe Stephen usually says 25 weeks. Is that what I hear him say? Do you guys hear him say that in group? I can't do math. That's about 6 months, right? So, these are really good goals. And it's just a time to relax and eat luxurious meat. And so what's the hurry? What are we in such a hurry about anyhow? And you have to be gentle on yourself and know that many of us will hit some adaptation bumps in the road. And so I just love your message about that. I was very curious, Penny, about the actual amount, because you said 11 months until it took you to get to, some kind of a goal that you had in terms of your body or whatever. And how much was your weight loss during that period of time?
At that point, it was 22 pounds on carnivore lost. I did backpedal because I was in keto for a while, and then I put on a little bit of weight during quarantine. And so then after that, I decided to get on the carnivore bandwagon, even though I just started keto again. And so I had lost about roughly 50 pounds on keto. I had lost 60 actually, but I gained 10 back during that period of time. And then I got onto carnivore. And while everybody starts to talk about, oh, gee, weight gain, it is true. I gained about 12 pounds on carnivore initially. And so that normally would send women shrieking from the room away from their scales. And it about did it to me too. But I was like, okay, I know this is going to change something inside of me. I know it's going to work, so I grinned and bared at 12 pounds. And then I decided I was going to go a little further because I have 4 autoimmune conditions, and I knew that my autoimmune conditions would react better with beef only. And so I decided to do beef only, which was February of 2021. And in that, change started. I will have to yell out and say, thank you to Michaela Peterson, because she's really, her group is the Lion group in Facebook. And I will promote Bella's group too, because I love Bella and our group. But I do have to say this about Michaela's group, and Michaela herself is, she's a warrior for the movement of people that have autoimmune conditions, and including rheumatoid arthritis. And so in that, I just decided I wanted to see what the change would do. And 3 months on beef only changed my life. I mean, for the better. I did do lamb too, because people were like, oh, what about lamb? And I said, no, I did do the lamb too. And I love lamb, to be honest with you. It's the sourcing of the lamb that's the problem. Many people say, oh God, it tastes so gamey, but it does taste gamey, but you got to get a good source for it. I have a butcher in Hinsdale that gives me some really good lamb. And I always get at him because he's like, don't worry, I didn't marinate it. And I'm like, good, please don't do that. And so when I pick it up, then of course my husband is really, he's not a carnivore. I love him. He's not a carnivore, but you know what? He loves meat, and he will support me on lamb, and he will support me on liver. And I made him liver and onions last week. I mean, he is supportive in that respect, although he still likes his potato and his rice and all that. But overall, if I say, let's do lamb on a Sunday, he's right there with me. And so in that respect, yes, I've got good source for lamb. I have very good source for beef. And really primarily today, I do mainly lamb and beef. But I do also throw in some raw cheese at times, because unfortunately the devil gets inside of me, and I do like cheese a lot. But rather than going and getting ice cream, I'll deal with butter and cheese any day versus running for ice cream, which is my other former love, And so in that respect, you have to pick what what you can survive on. But for the most part, like I had some cheese last week and I didn't refill it. I didn't go to the store to get it. I knew very well that there comes a time when you have to take a break from that and just kind of get back into the meat again. And so that's what I'm doing now again. But I do throw in some cheese here and there. And I do throw in eggs. I will eat some eggs periodically, and I will eat bacon periodically. But initially I did everything Bella had with her pudding and with those egg muffins and everything. And I love that stuff, but sometimes I obsessed a little too much over it. So I only do that once in a while per se, but and I haven't been able to give up the coffee either. Sorry, I ran on there for a sec, but I haven't been able to throw in some ghee in it, and I will throw in an egg yolk in it. I gave up the dairy as far as the creamers for a while, about a little over a year and 2 months ago. I've counted, but I don't plan on going back to that. So, but it was hard to give it up. I won't lie. So
yeah, I remembered when I first came into the Mighty Networks, when you were the first ones who welcomed me, and I just saw that you were already on beef only back then. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't do that. But I do it now actually, and I love it. So I follow you. I've been following you always in the Mighty Networks, and just saying how wonderful beef only has helped you. And I think it's wonderful too. And I've seen quite a lot of changes as well. And just wondering, what do you wish you have known when you started carnivore? Were there any things that you maybe said mistakes and were maybe not? Or...
Well, no, I have. I mean, the thing is, it's funny because I come out as a kind of a critic against, like for instance, fasting and stuff like that early on and stuff. And in a lot of respects, I do think I hit it right on my journey to kind of back off of that for a bit, to allow myself to acclimate to the diet. So in that respect, I believe I took the right step. But other things, do I think that if I'd known if I'd known maybe that I was going to gain weight initially and I didn't realize that, I wouldn't have been shocked by it. I would have been okay with that. But that was probably the hardest thing. And as far as like overall, I think, I wish I knew carnivore was around before I did. I wish I knew keto was around before I did. Those are the things that I regret the most, because I think in a lot of respects, I wouldn't have suffered as long as I did. 30 some years of suffering, it's very difficult, pain and excruciating pain every single day. That type of stuff, now I wake up and I bounce out of bed. I mean, I feel like I'm 25 and I'm in a 56-year-old body. I mean, that's where I'm at, and so in a lot of respects, what I feel worse as I didn't know about carnivore and keto earlier. That's where I'm at it. I mean, there are things in the early part of the journey, but overall, and by the way, I did use Raymond as a coach for a while, and he did work with me a lot on the fasting, and I did do rolling 42s and 48s for a while, but I kind of waited till after the 6-month mark before I did that.
Tell us what that was like, having a health coach like Raymond to guide you, and would you recommend that for others?
Oh yeah. Raymond, and by the way, Bella also coached me. Let's just keep going there. And I also had Becky Niles from Rivero, but it used to be known as Meat, whatever they call it now, the Meat RX.
Meat RX.
Meat RX, and now they're calling it Rivero. Yeah. So,
Becky's
but anyway, I had Becky
yeah.
Niles, I had Raymond, and I had Bella. So I will say that the super people of the coaching groupings, all of them. And I think what I really got inspired by with Raymond is, he just has such a heart, a huge heart for carnivore. And I personally, I did good on fasting, but I'll be honest with you, I had to go back to intermittent fasting, and that's kind of where I'm at now. I'm intermittent fasting, two meals a day. So a lot of this priming and stuff, I prime during my 2 meals, I do. But I do sleep in, and I because I work from home mostly, and I don't eat till 12. But in a lot of respects, that's where I'm at. I don't plan on going back to rolling 42s and 48s, but I found success with him in it for a while, and it did help me for a while. And I do like the autophagy. I do love the autophagy benefits. I really do. I mean, there's so much benefits to it. So
phenomenal. You're the most, no, I was going to say, you're the most incredible 56-year-old woman that I can't believe you're 56. I'm just like dying looking at you. Like, I'm 50. I want to look like that when I'm 56. Like, please.
It is. It's one of those things. So yeah, in a lot of respects, Raymond, inspiring, helped me a lot with the 42, 48s. We went back. He was fine when I backed off and went back to my intermittent fasting. But a lot of that is due to my gastric issues with gastric bypass. I mean, I got to come out and say, I have issues because of my gastric bypass that's been ongoing for 30 some years, so in a lot of respects, the malnutrition aspect of things I have to be very careful of because of my gastric bypass. That's why I had to kind of roll off of the fasting a little bit and go back to more of the 2 meals a day, because of the concerns. And actually, I got that from Dr. Robert Sivas. I met with Dr. Robert Sivas a few times and in a virtual meeting. And he basically told me, he said, I think you should just go back and just do the 2 meals a day. He said, I'm worried about your overall health and well-being, and making sure that you're getting all the vital nutrients every day that you can get. He said, and he says he was really thrilled. Of course, he's carnivore himself. He said, I'm thrilled with the carnivore for you. He said, but you just have to, he said, my view is for gastric bypass patients, he wished that people wouldn't do that they just stick with eating a couple meals a day or 3 meals a day or whatever they have to do. But he said, I just wish people wouldn't push themselves on the gastric after having a gastric sleeve and gastric bypass. It's much more important. Eat everything, all that nutrient dense food, eat it, and just keep eating it. And, whatever they have to do, even if it's 2 meals, he says, or 2.5, a lot of the gastric bypass people.
6 meals. This is so important that you figure out your best road for you, considering your organ size, what you've been through, your past, your healing status, your age, your current capacity. And so this is not a one size fits all. It's absolutely not. The thing that we tend to really agree on is that most people can thrive on the carnivore diet. That's our foundation. Most people can thrive on carnivore. And our foundation is to be involved with the community. Those are some of the principles that we are just, so for. And so I appreciate that feedback. And I think I hope that message comes across clearly to folks that, yeah, if you're a gastric bypass and this whole, one technique or one schedule or one something just doesn't really work out for you, we hope that is crystal clear, that there are so many ways to go about this. Carnivore is the foundation. Absolutely. So I appreciate you sharing on that. Oh, I was curious too. So you're maintaining a weight loss. I hate to loop back to that because I know this is about health. It's not about weight, but I think our listeners will be kind of curious to hear that your total. So like I'm maintaining about 150-pound weight loss or whatever. Like what are you maintaining? Like, so if you're at some kind of a spot from when you started, when you're at, are you maintaining like around a 20-pound weight loss overall? Was that?
Well, it's definitely over. Yeah. A total of 72, including keto, but it was 22 in carnivore. Yeah.
Over 70 pounds. You're maintaining an over 70-pound weight loss?
Yeah. So I've maintained, 68 pounds, if I were being brutally honest. By the way, carnivore and keto, we might as well come out and say are lifetime changes. They are not diets. So let's just say that they are not diets. Okay. So, but with that, I'm much more comfortable now as a carnivore to say, if I put on 5 pounds over the holidays, I'm not worried about it. Okay. And I don't want to obsess over it. And I'm not going to run screaming from the room and think, oh God, what am I going to do? I might have to go to do the rolling 48s or do whatever I can to probably lose it. And I'm not worried about that anymore. I mean,
if you're running, you're pain free.
Yeah. So yeah. Yeah. Now. Yeah. So yeah, but that's the thing. I think it used to be 10 pounds and I'd be like just devastated for days, and then I'd be thinking about what way I can restrict. And that's the thing, the restriction. I would think about what can I restrict to lose the rest of it, and I just don't worry about that anymore. And it's just not a part of my whole being. So I can just relax about it. I've talked to carnivores that literally won't take the scale out anymore. And I would be honest with you, I don't either, I mean, it's like, who needs the scale? I mean, I think the biggest thing with our understanding about ourselves is we have to learn to love ourselves during this whole journey, and just to understand that, we can, we've been through the worst and now we're in the best. So we don't need to, obsess about certain things that we maybe obsessed about years ago. It just doesn't have to be a part of it anymore. So yeah, I'm much happier, much more my relationship with food, with, relationship with everybody is pretty much a lot better. And
how about your relationship with yourself?
And yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
With myself, I think it's just the learning to be, the self-love that you have to have for yourself, but most women just don't have the self-love that they should with themselves. And I think that's the biggest thing. So I think, yes, I've improved a lot with that. I didn't mention because I was diagnosed with bipolar when I was younger, after I had my second child. And so for years, depression and looking in the mirror was very difficult, and taking pictures was very difficult. I have lots of gaps in my picture history with my kids. I wouldn't take pictures with them. I didn't want to see myself like that. I felt depressed and constantly, just never happy. So when my kids say I'm different now, I'm thinking, okay, I'm happier now. You never saw me happy. Maybe that's what the difference is. You never saw me happy. And now I am. So, they can kind of like, and it's funny because my one son who's closest to me did say, he said, Mom, I'm happier you found this. I'm happier you found this. My other son sometimes is still very critical, but he says, I'm really happier you found this. I'm happy you're happy with yourself and things are going well. And that's, he said, obviously they only saw me one way, but now the difference is I'm totally different. I'm basically a different person comparatively to what I was 36 years ago. So
that some people are not used to a healed self and a person that doesn't put as much value on what other people think of them, because this is what happens in our self-healing journey through this process is we actually lose this over concern with what other people think. And it's shocking. The people, our loved ones in our lives, they don't know how to handle a person that is just confident, that feels great and is calm and can have disagreements easily and just keeps really level and steady in the midst of all the storms. It's like we're not hooked into the storms quite as much. I'm not as hooked into people's trouble around me. I can very easily have compassion and want to reach out and want to help, and I can very easily I have a boundary now. I have so much better boundaries since it has to do with my food, and it's just crazy. I think it has to do with brain inflammation coming down. We just feel so much better, but it is shocking to a lot of our core relationships. And so that's just going to be part of it, but it's a lot better than it used to be when we were so swirled into it that we would do anything to please the people around us. And there's something about the confidence that comes as a carnivore that's like, I'm not able to do that anymore. I have to show up for myself and show up in a very honest way to the people in my life. So I'm thrilled that has been part of your journey. Absolutely incredible.
Oh, the importance of community, we mustn't forget that. Mm-hmm. And what do you like best as a community, Penny? Our community.
I think I like best that we feel comfortable to say things on the board that our struggles and stuff like that. I think that's the big thing is people can open up and say what they're struggling with that day, and they can have an honest answer, and people jump in and say, yeah, this is where I'm at too. And, they can definitely share. It's hard to do carnivore by oneself. I'll say that's just, it's very isolating. It is. So I think in a lot of respects, because nobody understands, I mean, they're all looking, oh, you're just one of those crazy no carb people, and then you have the vegans that come out and start yelling things about what you're doing to the world. And I think it's hard. We got a lot of critics. And so with having a lot of critics, and maybe family members that are not necessarily all supportive, it leaves us kind of like, okay, so how are we going to be able to survive on a total change in our life the way we're doing it right now with our diet? And I think in a lot of respects, we need the community. We need the community, a group of people that share the same types of struggles as a community of people. And the same thing on Instagram with a lot of the carnivore population growing and blowing up. We do need each other. I think we can't just do this without feeling any support from nowhere. If we had no support, most likely people will walk away from it and just go back to where they were. You just definitely need that support. And that's where Bella's group, being not on social media, very helpful for people that are very social media scared, like myself, for instance. I'm not a big social media person. I personally don't like how it makes your life an open book. But in a lot of respects, the people that are that we're in this together have been very helpful. And I continue to say that we should definitely be reaching out. If there's people out there that are watching this, that are doing carnivore and that are feeling alone, they need to reach out and get into a group and continue to stay with people and talking to people that understand, because yes, it's very isolating. And I, you know, a lot of my friends don't understand, you know, and my sisters, they don't understand, you know, but I will say this, even if they don't totally understand, they're not, you know, telling me every day I need to change back to what I was. I think they truly see the changes as what they are and say, okay, this worked for you. Maybe it'll never work for me, but this worked for you. And you're just looking fantastic and doing fantastically. And we're happy for you. And in that respect is good. So.
I even think YouTube and Instagram is starting to get anti-carnivore. I don't know about you guys, but anytime I'm watching YouTube, all of a sudden there are influencers that come up that are like, oh, I don't do that 0 carb thing anymore. That's just crazy. And then they tote their program. And I'm like, why is my phone getting anti-carnivore on me, anti-0 carb on me? Are you guys experiencing this yet?
You're doing that on purpose, dear.
Yeah, I think they're coming for us through YouTube. I'm like, okay, so
it is difficult. So it, you know, then you more challenges are facing you if you are going carnivore. Yeah. How did you find Bella, Penny, if you're not that into social media?
Well, no, I mean, I did watch her show a lot. So you know, her YouTube show. So in that respect, for some reason, I can't seem to grasp the YouTube as a social media concept. I thought of it as more of a show. Okay. So I dealt with that, and I just loved her videos. And I have a good 10 carnivore people that I consistently watch their videos all the time. I believe that without community, if you at least continue to watch these shows and continue to take in the concepts that they're trying to impart as far as what you can do to help yourself in it, I think it's very important, because I did go through a period like 4 months ago where I just wasn't watching anything. I wasn't watching TV. I was you know, I was doing things my own life, and I wasn't watching YouTube that much. And then I found I was struggling a little bit as a carnivore. So in a lot of respects, continuing to stay focused and watching these videos that are really helpful for all these influencers. Yeah, it's golden. And I remember a couple of times when I would say it on the group earlier on, when the group was just formed, I would say, you know, you guys need to grasp get on there and find some carnivore favorite people, including Bella, all of her videos. And there's at least 10, 15 carnivores on there. Watch those things, because it'll help you move to the next level, to continue to adapt in your journey. And there's a lot of people that are real resistant. Well, I would rather you tell me the answer versus watching a show. And I think that does come out sometimes. People want the answer, but they don't necessarily want to watch a show to find it. And, you know, maybe they think it's a social media. I just didn't think of it as that way. Instagram, it's a little bit difficult. It's there's a lot of people that are critics on there. And I'm not on TikTok that much, other than maybe, I think I have a few followers, but it's TikTok seems like it's a totally different generation for me. I mean, I'm 56, and the TikTok generation seems to be in their 20s, you know. So anyway, and I'm missing that part of things, even though I've seen people do their focusing in their they do it on like double mediums when they're talking on TikTok and they're talking on Instagram. So but I definitely think people need to focus in on some of those influencers to help themselves. But I do believe finding a group is really, it's golden. It'll help. And finding a coach, I mean, that's big too. I mean, if they need a coach, they need to reach out and find a couple of coaches if they need them. I mean, I know Bella and Raymond do it in our group. There's probably at least 25 or 30 coaches on Instagram. Yeah, you guys, and I'm working on it to become one. So, okay.
Great. Yeah, we have.
Don't forget to watch our video. Watch the dish.
That's right. We've got two of the most talented, incredible veteran coaches in SB Gang. We have Stephen Thomas. He is our resident scientist. He explains the science of anything you could possibly imagine. He will explain it to you in whatever detail level you enjoy. And so this is amazing. And he is an excellent coach. He was, #1 coach at Rivero for a while. And we have Raymond Nazon, who's an incredible coach, and he was the #1 coach at Rivero, and he's, now coaching as well. And so we've got fantastic veteran coaches. A lot of our members are coaches. Of course, our moderators are all coaches. And so this is a really great chance to reach out and grab that one-on-one helpful person to help this journey as well. So
well, I think that's really an important point, Emily, that even though you might be a coach, that good coaches need coaching. We all need support. So definitely reach out, because everybody has their own path and their own journey and their own little nuances that we need to help each other through. That's why I love what we're doing here, because we're sharing stories of not just the major influencers, not just the folks who have written books, no shade to those people, but that's why I love our community, because I've learned so much just from talking with other members. And so that's why I felt like when we were talking about this idea, I was all in, because I just love hearing other people's stories. That's so important.
Absolutely inspiring. I mean, I have learned so much. I thank you for your time today, Penny. It's just like, wow, what an incredible transformation. And I'm really excited to listen to your interview with Sean. And I remember you had another one coming up. Oh, you're going to be on Carnivore Cast pretty soon. And so this is a story that absolutely has to get out there, that there is absolutely a reason for help. Just because you reached your 50s and you're not feeling so hot, and you've had decades of damage, you've had all these things that have gone haywire on you, the story's not over. You change your story dramatically, but a night and day change in your 50s. So it wasn't like there's this idea out there that it's hopeless. If once you're past 40, you're just going to go through menopause and get weight around your belly and your hormones are all, there's just hopelessness out there. And so this lifestyle is giving so many people hope, and it's just invigorating to be a part of.
So in a closing thought, Penny, to close out this interview, what brings you joy?
My granddaughter and my sons and my daughter-in-law and my son's girlfriend and my dogs and my cat. And my husband, he's in there too. So all of we'll put them all in there. They are my joy. And you know what? I mean, my life is so much more focused as a carnivore. I mean, I have a lot going on, but I still feel much more focused as a person than I did before that. I have a future. I didn't feel like I had that before. I have a future, and I think that's the big thing. So my kids, my granddaughter, if you have to put a Y in front of your computer every day and put a Y in your office as to why you continue doing this, you have to stick with that as a why, because your family and regardless of how frustrating they can be when they're not necessarily all supportive, I love them to death, and they're my brood, and I'm looking forward to spending some time hiking this summer. Hiking in Chicago now is not going to happen, and we'll just see what things go in the next couple weeks. Maybe things will get an early spring, but that's what I also hope to do a lot more of. So, yep.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for blessing us with your first interview. We are honored. I think this was fantastic. So everybody, again, don't forget, please like, subscribe, and share this video. Turn on those bell notifications. Thank you so much, Penny. And
thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Have a good one.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.